I like totally love classic movies. Like Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn are my favorite classic actors.
I mean, I don't know. Classic movies are like black and white movies, aren't they? Black and white is boring, so I don't watch them.
I don't know, man, but Star Wars is definitely a classic.
Classic movies are like old movies.
You know, a classic movie is something that has a deep impact on society and changes either the way cinema is being watched, made, or performed. It's just something that just has a great impact.
I love you.
I know.
Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town.
Santa! Oh my God!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Tuesday at 5 p.m. so you know it's new video time, and I want to say thank you so much for joining me because we're going to be going over a heated topic. Yes, this has been argued since the beginning of movies, or at least, you know, a few years into movies when you could start saying, oh yes, it's a classic. But I mean, what is a classic movie? How does a movie become a classic movie? And how do we categorize what's classic and what's not? This subject has been argued so much over the years, and it gets really heated around Christmas, and I love it because it's so intense. Because you have one person who's just like, Elf is a classic. And then you have another person who is just so into like the old studio era movies, and they're like, Elf isn't old enough to be a classic. And then they get into an argument, and it's just... So I thought we'd go ahead and break down what it means to be a classic movie and how a movie becomes a classic movie. So let's go on this little journey. So first off, I think we should look up what it means to be classic or classical. Oh, who am I kidding? I can't read this. That's better. I can't see without my glasses. So according to Webster's 7th New Collegiate Dictionary, classic means either a literary work of ancient Greece or Rome. I lost my place. A work of enduring excellence or its author, an authoritative source, a typical example, or a traditional event. Now, classical means standard or classic, of or relating to classicism, versed in classics, authoritative or traditional, of or relating to a form or system felt to be the first significance before modern times, conforming to a pattern of usage sanctioned by a body of literature rather than by everyday speech, concerned with or giving instruction in the humanities, the fine arts, and the broad aspects of science. Alright, so what really stood out to me was, yes, of or relating to Greece or Rome. Ancient Greece or Rome. So obviously none of the movies were made in ancient Greece or Rome that we have discovered, because moving pictures didn't start until the late 1800s. So we're just gonna rule out that definition. So one of the definitions that stood out to me that I think will work in the context of our argument is a work of enduring excellence. Not necessarily its author, which I guess could be referring to either the director or the producer or the writer, but I would definitely agree with something that is considered excellent is definitely going to be categorized in a classic movie genre for most people. So take for example Gone with the Wind or Citizen Kane. Even if you haven't watched those movies, I guarantee you have seen the references for those movies, even if you don't understand the references, or you've at least heard of them. So the people who made these movies were considered cinematic geniuses. Like, they changed the way cinema would be made.
defining what a classic movie, I think, is so much broader than just what a definition is in a dictionary. So we're just gonna put that away. Take my glasses off because there's probably a big old glare from all the lights I'm using. But we'll go ahead and sit down and chat about what classic movies are. So I went ahead and looked up different lists of classic movies, and some of them were very, very similar. For example, in Rotten Tomatoes, in the top 50 classic films, there were Psycho, The Philadelphia Story, there was Vertigo, The Apartment, and those are all older movies that would fit the definitions that I was describing in the beginning of this video. The same thing happened with IMDb. A lot of Hitchcock films, a lot of Howard Hawks films, Jimmy Stewart, Cary Grant, you had Katharine Hepburn, Lauren Bacall, a lot of the big name actors most people think of when they think of old cinema. Now let's take a look at that argument I described a little bit earlier. So Elf. Is Elf a classic movie? I'd say so, but I also agree that, you know, like His Girl Friday and The Train Robbers are both classic movies. Even though there's such a huge gap in time, and the way each three of those movies were filmed are completely different. They have nothing to do with each other. They don't have the same theme. They're not the same genre. The acting is completely different. I mean, one of them doesn't even have the actors talking. I mean, sure, they're talking, but you don't actually hear the dialogue because it was a silent film. But my statement still stands. That's because my definition of a classic movie is something that either changes the way movies are made. So like Gone with the Wind, I have not seen it. I have not watched Gone with the Wind. I have not sectioned out like 4 hours in a day to just sit down and watch that movie. But I know it had such a big impact because of the way it was made. It was an expensive movie. No one has ever seen a production design like that before. I mean, the extras got period piece costumes that were tailored to them. The extras, the background actors, that's unheard of. Studios wouldn't spend that kind of money on a movie like that. I mean, that's absurd. So the way movies were made changed a lot because of that movie. Another movie, like I mentioned before, that I would consider a classic is Citizen Kane, because it did change the way we look at movies and the way movies are written and the way we can tell a story in a movie. And I think that had a really big impact. I personally would be completely fine if I never watched Citizen Kane ever again in my life. It's just not for me. That's okay, that's okay. I mean, because everyone has a different taste in movies. I also think that a classic movie has a theme that can withstand time. So this is kind of where Elf plays a role in. No matter how much technology changes, no matter how much we get into like VR or motion graphics or I don't know. Or if our CGI gets like super huge, or there's something different from CGI that makes things that aren't real seem even more real or heightened. There's the theme of Elf that will withstand time, because it's essentially a story about a son reconnecting with his father. I don't think there will... Sorry, I just saw people outside my window. Oh my gosh, nice bit. There will never be a time when that story isn't pertinent to humans, because I don't think we'll ever reach a point in humanity where we're just so disconnected from each other that we never talk to another human again. Like, this pandemic has kept us physically apart, but we are so connected virtually. It's just human nature to want to be with each other. Not every human is going to be one. Not every human is going to be one. I can't even talk. Not every human is going to have the same amount of need to be with other humans as others. Like, you have the extrovert and the introvert. But we will always have people trying to reconnect with their past. So yes, I definitely agree that Elf is a classic movie, even though it was made within the past 20 years. A movie doesn't have to be old to be classic. So I did a little bit of research, and there was this interview that Ben Mankiewicz did with, I think I pronounced his name right, but he did an interview with CNN, and if you don't know who he is one of the hosts for TCM, which is the Turner Classic Movies, and he just has so much knowledge of classic films and old movies and cinema in general, the history of it, what it looks like now. He's very connected with the industry, so he's very much so a reliable source when it comes to like what's a classic movie. So I was reading this interview because it was all typed out, and he said that the beauty of movies is that what defines a classic movie is really up to the individual person. So like you have the one person who's like, Star Wars is a classic movie. I would agree with him, but you know, the other person down the street might be like, are you stupid? No, that's not a classic movie. Classic movies have to be old, and that's their movie. Now, I'm not telling you all this because I want you to agree with me, like how Ben Mankiewicz had said in his interview. He wants people to argue with what he believes a classic movie is, and that's the beauty of movies, is that we can all have our own opinion, and we all, as long as we back up our facts, there is no right or wrong answer. I even disagreed with some of his points because one of them was a classic movie has to have a great emotional impact on you. I disagree with that because take any movie about animals and I'm gonna have such a strong emotional response to that movie because, let me tell you, in the movie either the dog dies, the human dies, then someone dies, and I always end up crying, so I will not watch those movies. And it's huge, like crying and feeling sad and grieving for a character is a great emotional impact. Was it a great movie? Maybe not. Was the acting good? I don't know. Was the cinematography anything important? Maybe not, you know? So I don't think that having a great emotional impact means that it's a classic movie. Now, if it's something that sticks with you and you think about it for a long time afterwards, then yeah, sure. If it blends genres together and makes you laugh and cry and have all these emotions, maybe. But I don't think an emotional response necessarily has anything to do with being a classic movie. So Ben Mankiewicz, if you want to go ahead and have a lovely scholarly debate about this, go ahead and let me know, because I would love to talk to you about this subject, especially someone who is so well versed in the classic movies. But the same goes for you. I mean, you may not have like any training in film. You may not have any interest in learning the history of films. You may only just have an interest in films because you love Netflix, and that's okay. And if you have a different point on what classic means, I would love to discuss that with you. Go ahead and let me know in the comments what you think a classic movie is, or list out some classic movies, and I'll talk it over with you. And I think these conversations are really important because when you're open to a conversation and to what someone else has to say, then you're allowing yourself to get more information and potentially change what you think is right or wrong or correct, or however you want to say it. And I think that's very important because, I mean, if you think you're right all the time, then you're not gonna have any fun. I'm wrong like all the time. I'm always just trying to learn new things, hear different opinions, because that's how we grow. So I'm gonna step off of my soapbox, and I'm gonna wrap up this video because it has been great fun, but I think that's all I have for you. Classic movies, if you guys are interested in the list, I'll make a list and do like a TikTok video or add it on my reels and Instagram, so let me know if you're interested in that. I have new videos coming out every Tuesday at 5 p.m, so I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and the cute little bell notification push button thing, I guess it's a button, pin,
I don't know. If you click that, you'll be notified every time a new video is posted, and I want to invite you to watch some of my previous videos. I greatly appreciate all of your support in watching this video and having this discussion with me. Please take care of yourself. Take a break from the craziness of the world, because everything's always going to be crazy, because, you know, you crazy humans always doing crazy things and burning things down and destroying things. So sometimes it gets a little bit much, so take a break, take a walk, drink a cup of coffee, read a book, take a nap, do whatever you gotta do. So hydrate, drink some water if you haven't drank some water today, eat if you haven't eaten today, get some sleep, don't stay up too late, just take care of yourself. Oh, I don't know what else to say. But thank you again, and I will see you guys next Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'm so excited. Alright, thanks, bye. Do you like James Dean? I have this big picture of James Dean because I love James Dean. He's great. Alright, that's all I have. Thanks. Bye bye.